All right, so there've been a lot of videos about Levan in the last sort of 72 hours. A lot of people talking about Hermes Gasparini and how he is just on such a mission to get this job done. How there's a bunch of people, Vitaly Levan, Levan, Larry, Michael Todd, all hunting him. And then last night I saw a video on Pradeep's channel where he really talked about the motivation of Levan Saakashvili and how hard it must be to stay hungry, how hard it must be to keep facing the same three guys over and over and over again. And it sort of asked the question in that video, where is it a good thing for Levan to follow in the footsteps of Brian Shaw, who retired on top 2023, I think it was, Brian, maybe 22. Brian won his last event and retired. And Levan is one of those guys who, if you look at who he is in the sport and what his legacy represents in the sport, he's at an interesting point, because he's at a point where he's got an outstanding undefeated Supermatch professional record. People are claiming quite boldly that he's the strongest ever to do it. But of course all that comes crashing down if he is defeated. Now, how long does he stick around for and risk being defeated? Because if you're truthful to yourself, you know that the pack is closing in. You know that Hermes is close. You know that Devon is close. Vitaly Levan, we're unsure how close he is yet, but we know that he's dangerous. Michael Todd even potentially quite dangerous to Levan, and for Levan he has to be wary of that as well. Now, Levan's legacy as an undefeated super heavyweight arm wrestler, the king of his era, has been, like I said, described as the strongest of all time. He loses that, or risks losing that, if he continues on too long. Now, Levan is someone clearly who loves arm wrestling. Arm wrestling isn't a sport where you can retire and never go away. Like, just have a look at so many legends like John Brzenk. John's retired a bunch of times. Todd Hutchins has even talked about retiring a bunch of times. The ability to be an elderly athlete, when I say elderly in comparison to other sports where 30, 40 is certainly the upper limit of where you could be. Levan will be an athlete that can forever be involved in the sport if he wants to, but of course if he is, there's that risk of doing what so many all-time greats do, which is go out on a loss. Now, does Levan want to go out on a loss? That would be a big disappointment to his legacy. Does he lose much? No, he still would be remembered for who he is, but is it better for Levan to retire now? And when I say now, I'm just talking about in the undefeated era, or is it better for Levan to just fight for as long as he can and take a loss, maybe avenge it, get it back again, and then someday retire? It's a difficult decision, because I feel like if Levan retires in the undefeated era, he will miss the sport. I feel like he will become someone else who'll go off and be in movies or something like that, but he will miss the sport. He'll miss that competitive side. An arm wrestler doesn't quit arm wrestling. It's very difficult to walk away from the competitive nature of the sport. And so I think that he may, but I don't think it'll be good for him. If I was Levan's manager, I would recommend to him the following. I would say, retire in the undefeated era, but like everyone, make a comeback in about 5 years' time. Retire right now in this undefeated era, and somewhere in the next 12 to 24 months. Retire undefeated. Make your announcement, big public announcement, you're retiring from arm wrestling. Let a new king be established in your absence. Let a new king be established. Let that person develop their own reputation as being the dominant undefeated man. Let the fans start to say, is this guy better than Levan? Is this guy better than Levan ever was? Let a new king be established. Go off and enjoy your life, being in the movies and things like that. And then make a glorious comeback. Make a glorious comeback 5-6 years from now when there is a new king. and just remind everyone that you're better. Just remind everyone that even after 5 years away, you can turn up and beat the number one dude in the world, whoever that may be. That's the sort of approach that I think could be good for Levan. It gives him an official period of time where he walks away, preserves the legacy, seen as the strongest of all time at the time of retirement, goes out on top, goes away, has a good time doing things like movies, whatever. Let someone new start in and then come back and stomp them. That will give him an opportunity to take a long and very effective build up and preparation for that match, because he can do that in his own time without announcing that he's going to come back and battle. And it gives the fans what we want most, which is answers to the questions. Everyone loves knowing who is the better champion from which era. But for this to be really, really effective, Levan needs to go out on top. We don't want to see Levan battle back and forth, losing some, winning some. That would tarnish the legacy that he has. But if we let a new champion rise and become the ultra dominant one, who never surpassed Levan on the table, because he arrived after Levan disappeared. Now this might be a Morozov or someone we don't even know yet. Maybe even just a name that hasn't emerged in the top 10 in the next 5 years could turn up and become the next guy that was the dominant champion. We then get the question and we get that excitement of the big return of the Georgian Hulk. So anyway, that's my thoughts. That's what I'd do if I was Levan's manager. The recommendations I'd make to him. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. There is no doubt that the Wolves are circling, that the pack is closing in, and that Levan's certainty at the top is getting less and less sure. He is still the favourite in every match he goes into. Even this Hermes match, who is looking outstanding in his training with some enormous lifts being reported. Levan is still the favourite in every match he goes into and should be until proven otherwise. But there's no doubt that Levan must be considering a decision about retiring if he wants to preserve the legacy that he has. Anyway, guys, you let me know what you think about the legacy of Levan. Should he retire undefeated, or should he just keep battling on for another 10 years and lose it, get it back, lose it, get it back? What would you like to see most from the Georgian Hulk?